Hello everyone and welcome to Quicktipps here in the Google Zone, where I try to solve a business problem from zero, literally nothing, all the way to 100, a solved problem. I'm going to be using different tools that Google has on offer, and this time I'm going to be using AppScript. So the problem I have right now is that I have events in Google Calendar here that tell me when an employee is out of office. Now, we have this kind of problem, I guess, at Cobry where we have 20% time. We work a 4-day work week, and this 20% time is the time in which we are not in the office because we are enjoying our time away from work. And the problem with that is we have all this information in the calendar, so whenever I clock in, I have to consult my calendar to see who's in or not. And it becomes kind of a game of being like, okay, Victor's in, Rash is in, Lewis is away, and I have to kind of create a mental map of who's in the office and who's not. So I'm going to solve that problem by bringing this calendar information all the way into Google Chat, where I hang around during my entire workday and where everyone else hangs around as well. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to glue those services together, Google Calendar and Google Chat, using Google AppScript. So here in Google AppScript, I have a function. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and grab those calendar events. I'm going to try format them in a way that Google Chat can understand it, and I'm going to send them all the way to Google Chat on a daily basis. So what's the first thing that I've got to do is I've got to get those events. So how do I get those events? I'm going to use a calendar app. So calendar app is a nice kind of programming interface or API that Google provides in AppScript that allows us to interact with Google Calendar. Now I want to here, I want to get events. So I can get events by ID. This doesn't work. Series, maybe not. Events per day, that's perfect. Now I'm going to have to see what kind of argument it takes a date. So I'm going to have to define a date that means today, because I want to notify my users who's off today. So I'm going to create const today equals new date. And when I pass in an empty, no parameters into a date constructor, it just brings me back the timestamp for now. So we'll get events for day, and I'm going to pass in today. And now I'm going to have to assign those to a variable. So const events today equals calendar app get events for day. So now I've got a list of all my events in this variable right here. So what do those events mean? I'm going to have a list of, you know what, let's log them. Console.log events today. All right, I'm going to save and I'm going to run, and I might have to reauthorize. Google's asking me to review permissions because it needs to know that I give access to access my calendar. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to allow them to, or allow AppScript to look at my calendar details. And I'm getting nothing here. Get events for today. Why is that not working? Radish is out of office. It should be getting this event. All right, because I need to make sure that it points at the right calendar. Okay, so I'm gonna have to define the calendar. Const calendar equals calendar app dot get calendar by ID. Okay, so where is this calendar ID? I think it's in my calendar settings. So if I go into here, settings and sharing, I'll be able to find the ID here somewhere. There we go. There's my calendar ID. Hit up my good old buddy Control C for control for copy, and I'm going to paste it in here. And now instead of calendar app dot get events for day, because that's only using my default calendar, which is my personal one, which these events don't sit. What I'm going to do is going to do my calendar dot oh goodness, I've changed the method here. Calendar.get events for day to day. Let's rerun it. All right, there we go. Here's my event, but this isn't really useful. If I bung this into Google Chat, nobody's really going to understand what any of this means. So I'm going to try and deconstruct that array, because ultimately there can be many events. So I'm going to do maybe event names. Const event names equals events today dot map, and I'm going to do event maps to, and I'm going to return event.get. What I'm gonna do, what's important for me? I need to get name, right? So let's see, get name, get title, maybe get title. Perfect. Okay. So what this does is it basically loops through all of my events today of all that information that we got, and only returns the titles in an array format. And that's going to be in my event names. It's probably better to call it event titles, but I'm not going to for the sake of time. So now I've got my event titles. I know that there's an array formula that basically allows us to split those titles from an array. You know what? Let's log it. Event console.log, so I can show you exactly what event names is. I'm going to run it. And here you can see Radish out of office, but this isn't an array. There could be many more events. For example, if I add an event into my calendar here, someone else is out of office. Let's say, I don't know, Liam out of office, right? And I save this event. If I run this again, you'll see that I'll have two entries into my array now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it event string equals and const event string equals event names, and I think I can split. Yeah, splice, join. Yes, I can join based on a delimiter. So my delimiter is going to be maybe a new line. So what that's going to do is going to take my array, execution log, that's going to take my array here, and every entry in the array is just going to be joined up and turned into a string based on a delimiter, and my delimiter is just going to be a new line. So I should be able to see Radish out of office, new line, Liam out of office. So let's see what I get here if I do my event string, not events today, event string, run. I should have something that, there we go. So this is something that a human can read. All right, so let's get that into Google Chat. How do we get this into Google Chat? Honestly, I can't be bothered looking at the API, so I'm just gonna Google it. Google Chat webhooks. We're gonna use webhooks because webhooks make it really easy for us to just kind of throw messages into a chat room. So I'm gonna see how to do webhooks. There we go. This is exactly what we need, an app script. So I'm gonna bung this into here. So URL, this is gonna be our webhook URL. We'll change it in a second. And this is just an API payload that we're gonna send to Google Chat. And the most important part here is this text. So right now, text says hello from AppScript. That's okay, but we don't want to just be saying hello every day. We want to be giving them the out of office people. So our out of office people, we've already got it in our event string. I'm gonna throw that into here. So now the text is gonna be the text that we generated on our event string, which is this text here, Radish out of office, Liam out of office, and this is just gonna throw this out into our webhook that we've defined into the chat space. So how do we get a webhook out of our chat space? We've got a chat space here called alerts, and I think we have to go into apps and integrations, and there we go, webhooks. So I'm gonna define a new webhook, add webhooks. I'm gonna call this maybe out of office updater. You can give it an avatar URL. I'm not going to, it's not required. And you can see this is my my webhook URL. So what I'm gonna do is I give it a copy, I'm gonna paste it into here, and I'm gonna save it. And when I run this, I'm gonna have to reauthorize because now I need to throw things into Google Chat. So I need to let AppScript do that for me. You can see connect to an external service. I'm gonna allow that. And my execution will start, it will complete, and you can see here, I've got a notification, my event, there we go, Radish out of office, Liam out of office. All right, we're basically almost there. The last thing we need to do is just trigger this on a daily basis, like maybe before people get to work. So the way that I do this is you can see on the left-hand side here, I've got triggers. I click on triggers, I add a trigger, and I want my function to run. It's a time-driven trigger. I want to do it on based on a daily basis, and maybe before people clock in, 7 to 8 a.m., maybe a wee bit earlier, 6 to 7 a.m. So when I click save, now that is going to run every day between 6 and 7 a.m. And it's going to run my application here. And what it will do is I spelled that wrong. Every day, that's going to now tell us when people are in the office, which is really, really cool. All right. We've just delivered business value. Look, we took that information that we had in Calendar. Every single user had to go into Calendar to check who's in and out of office, a lot of cognitive load in the morning. And we completely reduced that down to a very small update that comes into Google Chat for me to be able to see exactly who's out of office on that day. So that's been our quick tip, and I hope you found this one useful.